That was an incredibly uplifting presentation. I just want to say thank you for what you're doing for our community and what you just said. Your story is fantastic. So thank you for sharing that, and I took a lot of notes. Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for your time. Thank you for your interest in Siler City in Chatham County. It's an exciting time to be in this place. A lot of good things going on, just as Josh mentioned. North Carolina is doing extremely well, and this part of North Carolina is doing extremely well. So we're excited about that. So to talk a little bit about economic development, in terms of my background, I started at the Department of Commerce in Raleigh, and this is a new story to add after what you just mentioned, Josh. When I left the Department of Commerce in Raleigh to be an economic developer for the first time, I went to the town of Statesville in Iredell County. And I will never forget, I was sitting in my second grader's classroom with her and a bunch of her classmates and their parents. And I started thinking about exactly what you just mentioned. All of those little kids in that room, the work that our office did was going to have a huge impact on their parents and eventually on those little kids as they grew up to be members of the community and the workforce. So, again, every little thing counts. It's an exciting time. In terms of our particular priorities for economic development here in Chatham County, we certainly lead the effort to increase the tax base and bring new full-time jobs to the community. We certainly work in terms of between business assistance and workforce development, which is always key. Another thing that we focus on that doesn't get as much press is working with our existing industries as well. It's extremely important in terms of working with the companies that aren't here to make sure they're doing well, to find out what opportunities we have to help them expand, and also maybe have opportunities to help bring their suppliers from other parts of the country or the world here to Chatham County. And also try and be an informational resource for groups like this in times like today. In terms of the need for economic development, why is it important? Certainly this image is a huge part of why we do what we do. It's great to have a lot of people here in the community, but as you can see from this image, a lot more of them are going out for jobs versus coming in for jobs. And for lots of reasons, we're trying to change this trajectory. Tax base is one of the things that's very important. And since we kind of have a captured audience, it's good to talk about it. It's one of those kind of things that people don't think about that much. Tax base, what is it and why is it important? When you look at this particular image, you see that here in Chatham County, about 90% of our tax base is residential. And when you look at this image, it compares us with some of our neighbors in like Orange, Lee, and Moore counties, and also the state average. You can see that we have a much higher reliance on the residential tax base than our neighbors. And we're trying to change that. And one of the key ways to change that is bringing in new industries and also helping have an area that's convenient for commercial development as well. This is the key image here in terms of this entire concept in terms of tax base and why it's important is the cost of community services. Basically, when you look at this, for each dollar that comes in, $3 come out of in terms of commercial and industrial, but only 87 cents for residential. So again, in terms of return on investment for services, it's much greater from commercial and industrial than it is from residential. So we're trying to get that tax base more shared between businesses than completely relying on residential as it is to some degree here in our county presently. Here's our existing land use, and you can see that most of our space is agriculture, which is a great thing. It continues to keep our county very green. The site selection process, here's something that the big funnel image. This is kind of a look of somewhat behind the curtain in terms of where things kind of start, in terms of where a company's out there looking to find a new location. if it's a larger industry, typically the first place they're going to go is the state. And in our case, this is now, rather than the Department of Commerce, it's now the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina. Some of you see them mentioned in the news, and Chris Chung is their CEO. And basically they run the large projects. And so it's great that our office has a really good relationship with many of those project managers, so they know what's here in our county, and they know they can depend on our staff and our location. But this kind of talks a little bit about all the different things that go into that mix in terms of tax rate, the brand and the image. And I would say on that right now, we're very fortunate here in Chatham County is that with some of the success we've had over the last several years, that has really changed our brand. It's really changed our image in the marketplace. And so when I'm at a conference in Chicago, when I'm at a conference in New York, and people understand I'm from Chatham County, all of a sudden they get a smile on their face and they ask me about different things that are happening. They know things that are happening here. That's a big change that all of you have been a part of over the last couple of years. Certainly our higher education, our quality of life here continues to be fantastic. The sites that we have are significant. Another thing is this right now, even with some of the success that we've had, we still have over 1,500 acres available in Chatham County now for business development. And that's fantastic. By comparison, most communities our size might have 300 or 400 acres. So it's a dramatic number, and so for the future, we're really, really well positioned. This is a really fun image to look at in terms of, again, what are consultants that are running these large projects? What are they looking for? What makes them look at us versus maybe somewhere else? You can see there's a wide matrix of different things to look at. The top right now are certainly labor, as Josh mentioned. The birth rate is low, and it's just going to stay that way. And so trying to figure out where are people moving, and that's another thing right now. North Carolina is one of the top places for people to move from all over the world, and we're not only that, we happen to be right in the middle of where everybody's moving, and so we're really well positioned for the future. Infrastructure, certainly, we talk about that a lot here. It's not only power, but water and sewer. And fortunately, over the next year or so, that's going to change dramatically here as well in terms of our opportunities there. And then ready sites, like at the campsite. The campsite is a great example of a site that we've spent lots of time and lots of money, lots of people in this room have spent many years positioning my office to be where we are now, to have such a great asset like the campsite. This is a neat testimonial from one of the national site selectors, a guy named John Longshore. I won't go through the whole slide there, but I would say that one of the things that he mentions there, the second paragraph from the bottom, is talking about faith in a community and its partners, being able to deliver on what you promise. And I think that's a fun thing to look at. It's a meaningful thing to look at because when a company is considering coming to your community, they really got to have confidence that not only the things that I and my office are sharing with them are the real deal, but they got to know that the people in this room are going to be behind them when they come here. And so that's important. And so again, that kind of goes back to me talking about our brand and what it means, what it is, and people know that Chatham County right now has a lot going on and will continue to have a lot going on. In terms of our overview, this is certainly a great image of the research triangle and how that continues to help our entire county. That is probably the top global brand of any business park in the world, not in the Southeast, not in America, but in the world. Now, when you talk about the Research Triangle Park, if you're in China, if you're in Brazil, they've got an idea where you're talking about, and we're right around the corner from that. This is one of the best images we could show anybody because we've got such a beautiful location. I mean, you can see this image. One of the things that we kind of talk about is all the green on there is going to stay green. We're not going to pave over 64 through the middle of the county. You can see there the campsite is right there on the Randolph County line. Another thing that's kind of interesting about this image is it shows that we are contiguous with 8 other North Carolina counties. I mean, we're the geographic center of North Carolina, and to have all those counties surrounding us again is a great thing. Another thing that I like to point out on this particular image, if you look at the Jordan Lake and you look at that northeast corner of our county, and you see Durham County's right there, Wake County's right there, it's quite literally walking distance from that corner of our county to Research Triangle Park. So again, this entire county is incredibly well centered. In terms of talking again about the growth and about where are people coming from, this is a nice image to look at that shows the population change over the next 10 years. And it shows that North Carolina, again, is well positioned for the future with over 7% growth rate projected. More importantly for us here in Chatham County, Chatham County's projected population rate is double the North Carolina rate. And so again, when we're talking about companies about coming here and they understandably have concerns where are people coming from, people are continuing to come to North Carolina and to Chatham County. It's going to keep happening, and so this is a great place for business. Certainly, higher education is one of those reasons why this continues to be a great location. And an extremely important part of this particular slide is there where it shows Central Carolina, Wake Tech, and Durham Tech. Having those 3 significant community colleges right here is fantastic. And one of the things about Central Carolina, that is an award-winning community college, but I can also tell you on big projects, all 3 of those community colleges collaborate to try and help win projects here in Chatham County. So lots of times when we have a big project, Central Carolina is the lead, but if there are different scenarios, they might bring in Wake Tech or Durham Tech or both of them, and so they work extremely well together. So again, it shows how well this region collaborates. Fort Bragg, in terms of again talking about population, 8,000 people every year transition out of Fort Bragg. 8,000, and that's amazing when you think about those people are coming from other parts of the world, they're coming from other parts of the country, and once they're in this region for a couple of years, they realize this is a great place to have a family. This is a great place to grow a business or to go to work with one of our great employers. In terms of our project activity, you can see that over the last year, the biotech projects have started to look here much more than previously, and that's a good thing. One of the reasons that we're seeing that is something called, not only the life science and biotech, but something called API. API is active product ingredients, and further translated to that is, you've got penicillin. There are a bunch of different things that go in to make that tablet of penicillin. And so plants that make different parts of what might go into that penicillin tablet are starting to look here. So those are called API projects. We're also seeing a lot of energy projects, certainly for lots of reasons. And you can see on this kind of further breakdown that shows the biotech, pharma, and life science projects were 11, the energy project were 9, and you can also see the investment numbers. That's another thing that's been really exciting over the last 5 years in North Carolina, and especially in this part of North Carolina, is how big, in terms of the investment numbers are for lots of projects for different reasons. So that's been exciting. Foreign direct investment, companies from other parts of the world continue to look here, and so that's exciting. As I mentioned, I think our brand certainly helps drive that. And then the final image is this one. I don't have to explain this to people in this room, but I did want to show it to you, and that is, as you all know, when you're out of town somewhere on vacation and somebody asks you where you're from, and you start trying to explain where you're from and all these different things, that's a whole lot to talk about. Hopefully they'll sit and listen for a while. But there's a lot of good things that are going on here right now. We're extremely well positioned. Josh, you're doing a fantastic job with your organization. Again, thank you for that inspiring discussion you had with us. And again, thank you all for your support for economic development here in Chatham County.